Hey guys, my name is Carl Robinson and I'm the writer and director of Finding Grahamstown. And in this short video, we basically just want to show you what it took to put the film together. I will say that we didn't start with the biggest budget and definitely not the fanciest of equipment. But what we did have was a story to tell, and we were going to make sure we did what it took to bring that story to life. If I could give any piece of advice to a filmmaker, it would be that you believe in what you do, and if you can't do something, that you know someone who can. The idea came about from quite a few different inspirations. The one was just actually living in Grahamstown. For years I'd always actually wanted to produce some sort of film that just showcased the natural scenery that surrounds Grahamstown. Grahamstown has its own fascinating history. Originally I wanted to do a complete historical reenactment. So instead I decided to look for a story that was more light-hearted, something that today's audience would be able to connect with. Not all of these are even mine, a couple of them are friends. A couple of rigs that I went and built myself. A standard DSLR camera that's filming me at the moment. Nothing special, it's entry level but does the job. A mirrorless Canon EOS M. It's enough. I have the cameras, I have a few lenses, and that's all you really need. You can't do everything. There's no ways that I could attempt this film on my own. And I needed to find key people who could help me. The first person was a talented girl called Dumisa Lengwati, who came on board initially just to help me figuring out how was I going to get a cart into a location outside Grahamstown. Where was I going to find donkeys? Where was I going to find costumes? Where was I going to find actors?
His creative vision was something that I was extremely attracted to, and I knew that being able to collaborate with him on this project was something that was going to give me just a world of experience.
Judy managed to find a friend not far out of Grahamstown who had a cart. While I was driving there to see that cart, I got another phone call from Basil Knowles, who does all the backfill reenactments.
I get this WhatsApp from Carl and he goes, "Dumi, I've got this very interesting art. Very interesting." It sounded so serious. I was like, what's going on? He goes, Basil Knowles has invested some interest in this project and he's offering us authentic costumes and a cart, donkey training, which was very key. One of the first things he did was to meet Anne-Marie Volmerans, who runs the Makana Donkey Association. But the first time I saw what would later be called Jiggles, I fell in love with him. And later that day we also came across Sir Giggles. The donkeys were such an important part. It is for them, and they also represented the journey that each of the characters goes through.
We were extremely lucky that we worked with RAW, the Animal Rights Society for Rhodes University. Not only did RAW help us with just runners and people on set, but they also took on board the screening and have just helped in so many ways, and we're just so lucky to get them on board. It was really fantastic working with the actors, with Mike, Chad, Sean and Massey. They are typical drama students. Fun, very light-hearted, enthusiastic, all over the place.
The people that we ended up with each brought their own immeasurable worth to the role. Chad is just such a sweetheart. He's so light-hearted and very comedic element that he brought to the pompousness of Graham. Mike is very serious, and I love his concentration and I love his dedication to the role. Massey has so much commitment. It's really admirable. The way he invests in his character, and you could see it's something that he had a very close connection to. And then Sean, who's just as slapstick as his character is in the film, very easygoing, very helpful. He never said no to anything that we asked of him, and he asked a lot of him.
There were many pressures on the day of shooting. But that's not to say we didn't have fun.
Coupled with early starts and burning sun, there was a bit of madness that came out in the proceedings. People look at us really weirdly to begin with, because this bunch of people, and four of them look very different from the rest of us. This runner running past, and Mike just starts running after him. "Go faster! Come on! on, you can speed it up. And we're just like, oh my word, people must think we are crazy. Filming is not without its mishaps.
You stole a home.
Cut. Don't.
Missing costumes or misplacing them and freaking out. But there was nothing ever really detrimental. Even when I fell in a hole on Craig Doom.
Action.
Okay, let's go, Karen.
Kaleko, please be watching.
I didn't injure myself.
It was really great to be a part of a team that was just so positive, and there was no moaning or complaining. Even though we filmed for hours at a go, sometimes without water, and we had to just keep going. There were some serious technical difficulties. For instance, filming on the back of a donkey cart does not create a stable environment. Your camera is going all over the place. We had to come up with angles that best suited the cart and the donkeys. When you're out there filming and you're watching the crew run around and set things up, you're watching Chad and Mike rehearse their lines, and Dumi on the side was instructing them, and Basil and the other animal handlers taking care of the donkeys. You know, just to look around you and just realize, you know, it started out with you at 11 p.m. at night putting words on paper, and from that now suddenly you've got this whole operation going on around you.
After filming ended, it was all about marketing and raising funds. So we hopped straight onto Facebook, and the awareness that's been raised about donkeys in Grahamstown, because really, if you're not from here, you don't understand the plight in its full sense of the donkeys in terms of how they're mistreated and the assistance and the care that they need. So the exposure that we've gotten through Facebook has been paramount to this film. It's just as important as the film itself.
I would just like to say thank you to everyone who was involved in this film. From my friends in Johannesburg and Cape Town who read the script for me and gave the input, to everyone here, the cast and crew, Basil Mills and his family, and you know, even just people who helped to organize the event, and just every single person who had a role to play in this film. I would like to say thanks, because it really was impossible to do without you, and I couldn't pay you, so it was all done out of your generosity, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Thank you.
So it's time to start to do those things. The goals you set, the ones you call your dreams. But how hard do you try? You're lucky to be alive.